what your take is on what you've heard this evening. And I'm sorry, but it's right now 8 after 6. Almost everyone has said they're leaving at 6:30, so we'll give you not long, a couple minutes. Okay.
Well, obviously, what I've heard here today, obviously, is what I'm in total agreement with. I share the concerns of the contact center as it relates to the poverty conditions in our city. There's no excuse that we should have a 14% poverty rate on our children. When you talk about fixing a city, even in difficult times of difficult people, this is why I'm very supportive of the 1.5% human services allocation out of our general fund. I'm a very strong supporter of that. And then we have to understand that when you have poverty, if someone cannot feed their family, they're going to find a way to feed their family. And if we choose to focus only on police, then the police are going to be very busy. Simply because folks are going to be in need and they're going to do whatever they have to do. That's just human nature. So we have to make sure that when we start looking at the city in its totality, as we look at this entire budget, we have to make sure that we do not put people such as poverty at the top of the cutting of the services. And you don't want to do that. You want to have a balanced approach to cutting your services, and you want to make sure that you don't cast out those that are most in need of services, health care, even education and housing and all of the basic quality of life needs in a community. Over the Rhine in particular has for a long time been overlooked. The city just said, okay, we'll give them all the basic services, give them the food pantries, give them all of these things, and then let them fend for themselves. And this is what we don't want to do. We want to correct that. This is why we're spending so much energy and resources in the override to correct some of these problems. You can clap. Yeah. So I'm not going to, I can go on and on. And I got somewhat of an unfair advantage because I'm on council now and I know what the problems are. But yes, I share your concerns, and I am one of your supporters, very strong supporters. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on the time.
I want to thank everybody who helped put on the play. I thought that was great. I really appreciate you guys taking all that effort to explain to us what it is you're dealing with on a regular basis. I also think it's great of you all to be focused on these issues and focused on the right areas, the right governments where they can make the most difference. So really petitioning the state for the increase in the amount of the kinship instead of rather than foster care. I think that's really great and really smart to be very focused on who it is can make the most effective change. And I think regarding the city, your focus on public education, I think the city does a lot to support public education. And as if I was a member of council, I would continue to do that. I was a graduate of Cincinnati Public Schools. I went to San Montessori when it was down in the West End. So I'm familiar with this area. I lead architectural walking tours in over the Rhine around Finley Market. And I know, I'll talk to you afterwards, but there's a lot of people who also want to see Rothenberg School be maintained in its current building, historic building, and really be located in over the Rhine. So I applaud you on that as well. And I think it's very important. The other thing the city does is the health centers, and I think it's really important that we maintain those health centers because so many people do use them, and they're a real asset that the city has that few other cities do. Once again, there's a lot of other candidates here. I want them to be able to speak. But thanks again. My name is Tony Fisher. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm not.
I was elected in the fall of '08 last year. I am the state representative from the 31st House District over on the west side of Cincinnati. I had the pleasure of coming down here last fall when I was running, but it was a much more intimate group. And Mary spoke with me, and Betty, I think, was one of the speakers. And I feel badly about Betty, but anyway, I was schooled up on kinship care, something I was not familiar with. I had heard about it, but I really didn't understand it. So I go to the State House while I'm on Health and Human Services Subcommittee of the Finance Committee. We're talking about kinship care, and there are a lot of folks that want to cut kinship care, or rather not expand it. And I think there is a disconnect between the people in Columbus and what's going on here on the ground. And so when you try to explain it to people, and it's an education process, so for those of you that aren't familiar with kinship care, at first I was like, what are we talking about? The relatives watching the kids, what's the need? There's a great need for expansion of kinship care. It saves money for the state of Ohio. Never mind that it's great for the kids, because the transition is easier if you're putting a kid in with a relative, and then once the parents are able to take that child back, the transition's easier. Maybe they haven't moved from one community to the next. They're not in the foster care system. So it saves money, it's good for the children, if we can help the families, that's a good thing. And there was a cut to kinship care, and many of us fought for it, but in these times, we cut a lot of stuff we don't want to cut, and so I thought we brought some of it back. It's kind of like the libraries. There was this major cut proposed. We didn't cut all of that, but we did cut some of that. So in the future, hopefully when the times are a little bit better and we have more money, we can advocate for more money to go to kinship care. Also in healthcare, we did expand healthcare opportunities and make it more accessible to the folks throughout the state. So a lot of people aren't familiar with what was done in House Bill 1, which was the budget. But the folks with pre-existing conditions have more access to health care right now. And we expanded the age that you will cover a dependent to 28 from 21. Pretty significant changes. And COBRA was expanded as well. So there's a lot going on at the state level. But I'm not running, so I don't want to take any more time. But it's really a pleasure to be here and see everybody again. And good luck to all the rest of you.
Thanks everyone for coming, and thanks for hosting us. My name is Christian Lowry, and I'm here because Councilmember Jeff Birding could not be here. It's a busy time of year, as everyone knows, so he apologizes. But I did want to say thank you for bringing to my attention, and I'll share everything with Jeff, some issues that we probably don't see on an everyday basis, that we're not necessarily aware of, that really are pretty critical in our community. And I've had conversations with Jeff where he's explained to me kind of his take on Cincinnati as a community and how it starts with a good education. It's quality education as a young child. And then it's healthcare throughout your life. And then it's access to quality housing, and it's having a safe community. And it's a holistic approach, like Councilmember Thomas mentioned. And so these are issues that maybe don't come before us all the time, but certainly deserve our support, deserve our attention. And so thank you for putting them in front of us. Thanks.
Hi, thanks everybody. My name is Miles Lindahl. I'm here representing Councilmember Lakita Cole. Councilmember Cole wanted to be here tonight, but she's at a global economic summit at the moment and could not make it. I don't want to take very much time. I just want to tell you a little bit about what Councilmember Cole has done. And she, along with Councilmember Thomas and Councilmember Qualls and other members of council, sponsored a motion to bring health and human services levels back to 1.5% of the budget. And that's a very critical thing to our community. Councilmember Cole also wants to make great use of CDBG dollars, which are community development